Hey y'all, what is it, Tuesday? Yeah, it ain't raining. That's not rain. Some of it's sweat from being hot and working, but most of it's sweat from a little anxiety flare up mixed with the heat. No, I was out here expanding the goat line, the electric fence up along this high line. They've found a couple of exit strategies to get out near the road again. Of course, I didn't close off the gap up that way, and got a little relaxed, so having to address that now. Um, it's kind of funny, for whatever reason, Jordan was usually a little closer to Nacogdoches back in the day on our pool route, and his number was on file with the local sheriff in case the livestock got out. And he called me from Alabama this morning and said, Dad, dispatch called, the goats are in the road, so had to go get them back. But I learned something this afternoon, and maybe it was one of those little lessons I needed to learn. I got up here and thought it was going to be a 15-minute job, and it would have been had it not been for my thick head getting involved and overthinking stuff. Just going to run the rest of that electric wire up this high line and close it off and through with it. But a couple of years ago, when they were clearing the high line, you know how they cut the limbs on all the trees, and there's a lot of debris out here. Been here for quite some time, so it's dry and brittle, and here we are August with no rain for a while. And my thick head, as I had to go through a little spot here, I'm like, man, that's a big old pile of brush. Sure be easier just to burn that real quick instead of having to move it and risk getting into a snake or whatever. So my bright self went ahead and set fire to it. And of course, anytime a fire takes off with good tinder, it's always a little intimidating. And I was ready to combat it. And so I did. Forgot it's so hot, you can't get that close to it. Now, don't panic, I'm in control now. If you'd talked to me about 20 minutes ago, it might have been another story. But not a big fire, just a lot of this all up through. And y'all know it'll take off and just keep burning and keep burning and keep burning. Well, my common sense finally kicked in, and I just cut a burn line ahead of it to stop it. And now I'm calmed down. But as I was doing that, y'all know me, good Lord's always teaching me when I get quiet, if I let him. And I was thinking about how many times in our life, maybe it's our kids, our spouse, ourselves, whatever it is, friends, family, they've got a raging fire going. It's fuel that maybe has built up over time through bad decisions and lifestyle, or through health challenges, or just something that's no fault of their own. And we can't jump in there and put that fire out. It's too big. There's too much fuel that's just overtaking us, and we start losing hope and almost our faith, you know. But if we'll stop and get quiet and pray and put that burn line ahead of those bad decisions and plead the blood. I was reminded of Deuteronomy 31:8. Talks about the Lord goes before you and protects you. I'm like, that's kind of what I did here, in a manner of speaking, right? I went ahead of the fire and the hopelessness. There was no way I could have got that fire out with hand tools by myself, but taking a little hoe and my rubber boots and just scratching a little 2-foot line right there. I didn't have to stomp on it anymore because it had no fuel, right? So maybe with proper guidance and love for those loved ones, sometimes we can guide them to eradicate the fuel for that fire. Maybe it's teaching them finances, or teaching them faith, teaching them to put their trust in the Lord, right? So kind of took away from that. I don't know if y'all will, and that's all right if you don't. I suppose it was for me, and I get it. So when I see those fires raging all around us in today's world and in our own little personal worlds, I think I'm going to take hope and not look at the hopelessness of the size of that fire and how it overwhelms us, but stop and get on my knees like my mama did many times when I was out there building big fires, and She couldn't do nothing about it, nothing she could have done to kill that fire. But she did on her knees. She prayed that the Lord would remove that fuel that fed that fire, right? So maybe that's how we can really affect those struggling around us in one way. We've got to be active with it, but sometimes we need to go ahead of them and cut a little burn line, right? Well, I'm going to go to that other side there and put the rest of it to bed and get back to my 15-minute task that turned into an hour of panic and watching a fire burn when I should have just settled down, used my head in the sense the Lord gave me, and got ahead of it and laid down that burn line. Y'all have a good week. Be the light.